Hello, everybody.
Welcome back to another episode of Mondays Are for the Nerds, your nerdy news podcast. I'm your co-host, Jay Wright.
And I'm your other co-host, Tristan Stump.
And thank you for joining us again as we welcome you back to recap last week's pop culture news, whether it be movies, TV, video games, anime.
All
got it all
those
for
things, yeah.
Cover Throw Dart and pop culture. We probably got it on here for you.
Except for comics, because
music.
I quickly decided that it's just not
too much.
Yeah, it's too much.
Unless big noteworthy happens.
Yeah.
A little bit of a smaller episode to recap of our to make up for our last one.
The biggest thing is recap of the Oscars.
Yeah, but and that won't take me too long.
That won't take very long, no. Because I didn't get to watch it, so I won't have much to discuss.
Yeah, I watched it. Is this jumping into our small talk?
Yeah, we can just go ahead into our small talk. Yeah,
I watched it. Of course, anybody who knows me know I was going to sit through that whole thing and watched it. Conan O'Brien killed it. I loved it.
Now, I did see clips of like little bits he did and stuff.
Yeah. He ended it with, he's like, I'm not going to waste your time. And then did a whole musical number about not wasting time. Like, this is Conan.
Yeah, and it's absolutely Conan. Yeah.
This is Conan.
Conan coded, you could say.
Exactly. Conan coded. I just had an
aneurysm. Coded.
I tried to come up with a name for it. No, I hope they bring him back. He's honestly one of my favorite hosts we've ever had.
Yeah.
At least since I've been watching religiously. Yeah, I loved it. A lot of it matched up with what I did for the Dubsters. I say a lot of it. Some of it did.
This is I don't know if this is an insult, Jay. This is one of the first years where it's actually like a lot of your awards were also Oscars awards.
Yeah.
Because you're usually picking the underdog
or something I actually thought deserved. Now, I will say, had I seen Conclave, I probably would have done a lot wrong because that would have been Best Picture. No, some of it matched up, and I was very pleasantly surprised to see that. I didn't expect it to. I never do.
Yeah.
But I'm like, oh, well, that's neat that it happened. But no, it was really good. I enjoyed it. I had a good time. Other than that, of course, first half of the week, I just, binged Daredevil, as you know, getting ready for Tuesday night, which, stay tuned because we'll talk about that. Non-spoilers. I kind of moved away from Red Dead because I'm like, it's just taking too long.
Yeah. And
I went to Assassin's Creed Valhalla because Shadows is coming out, and I got bored with that, and so I was kind of like going through a bunch of my games. I did some more of Astrobot, the levels.
And the new DLC.
Yeah. The Spider-Mans are in it. Did you know that?
Yeah, by the time I played, the Spider-Mans were in it.
They're in it. That I got those. I think I unlocked some last night where I have one of the speed runs.
Because I think they're on top of the PS5 and you can knock them off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I haven't climbed up there to do that. But I got 2 more speed runs left, and I was just too mad last night because it was making me mad. And so I turned off that. And then I brought up something I hadn't touched in like a year, Scribblenauts Unlimited. I got the double pack of that in the DC
Unlimited
one.
in DC, yeah.
Yeah, which I've been playing through Unlimited. I love it. It's something to just kill time. I get it doesn't have my attention too long, but then I'm like, I'm ready to watch like an episode of Frasier. So I get like 15 minutes, and I'm like, I'm pleased.
Yeah.
I love it. Of course, I had it on the DS. And then Yellow Jackets, super good going up. That's about all I did. 7 and all that.
Ooh, I had a week. Let me tell you, I had a week. Up until it was like Monday through Wednesday, Sunday through Wednesday. It was just kind of ugh.
Yeah.
Let me tell you. But Thursday,
you're sick or just working a lot?
Working a lot. I had a lot of things that Tuesday alone just had one thing after another. There was one major thing, and then just a couple of other inconvenient things.
Yeah.
Let's see. I can't say the first thing. Well, it was raining hard, and the roof leaked onto my bed.
Oh!
And as I was getting ready for work, I'm like, crap. And then I got to work.
No.
I was going to put an earbud in, and a customer came in and startled me, and I dropped the earbud into a hole in the floor.
Oh!
Luckily, the next day, I was able to get it out with a pair of tongs. But still, I was
that whole night,
just that whole day. It was just I woke up with the first thing that happened, and then the roof happened, and then that happened, and then Wednesday there was another thing that happened where I was just like, this is just, and then Thursday was wonderful.
I need a break. Yeah,
Thursday was very wonderful.
That's good.
So yeah.
And you're off tomorrow.
And I'm off tomorrow.
So.
And Sunday. And Monday.
And Monday.
Yeah, I'm off the whole.
Dang, yeah. You got 3 days.
3 days.
Yeah,
baby.
Nice.
So yeah.
And you close. So this you close Tuesday. So that's technically if you take the first half of that tonight, 4 days.
Yep.
Girl math.
Girl math.
Girl math.
But yeah. So one thing I did do this week, I didn't. I'm trying to remember if I played any games. I played some demos.
Mm-hmm.
I managed to catch some demos that were part of Steam Next Fest, even though Steam Next Fest ended by the time I was able to play some games.
Yeah.
I played a demo to a 3D platformer that's coming out called Paper Clay, where everything is like made out of like a Papa Book cardboard crayon, kind of Paper Mario-esque. It's made by like one or two, I think it's one guy, and then like music and stuff he had help with.
Yeah.
It was fun. I'm looking forward to it. I followed him on social media because I saw some of his like behind the scenes stuff, and I was like, I can't wait. And it's supposed to come out within the next 3 months. So I'm really excited for that.
Nice. What is that? Paper Clay?
Paper Clay. You play as a chicken named Chick, and he has a little chick named Nugget that that stays on his shoulder. And your village is stolen by a fox pirate who has an airship.
Yeah. This is right up my alley.
And to get your village back, you follow a trail of eggs that were dropped by the village while it was being carried across the land. And then you help people along the way, and they give you other collectibles that help you get to the other collectibles. You hop in books, so there's like levels within levels. And anyway,
I love that.
Yeah, the demo's pretty good. The voice acting's decent.
Yeah.
Main characters are fine. It's just some of the NPCs you talk to where you're like, that was definitely like
just a throw one in
friend.
Here. Yeah.
You know, not in a bad way. It's like charming, but maybe that's because 2000s baby. I grew up with like right when voice acting was starting to get good in games.
Yeah.
So there were still a lot of the Resident Evil. You were almost a Jill sandwich.
Yeah.
That which is, I mean, that's 90s, but still.
Yeah.
Anyway, I played that. Do you remember me talking about Is This Seat Taken? It was that game where you have to arrange people in the right seats. I played a demo to that. Dude, so good. I'm
was
sad.
That like the satisfying one?
Dude, I'm so sad that it's only a release date is to be announced. It doesn't have a release date yet. I'm like, oh man, I want more. I played the demo, which was almost a bad idea because now I want more and I'm gonna have to wait.
Yeah.
But that's really the only games I really played. I didn't have a whole lot of like time to hop into anything else. But I did start a show called, you probably talked about it because it premiered within the span of when we started, but High Potential.
Yes, I think I might have whenever it had a series premiere.
But it's like the newest quirky person helps the police solve murders show, which is, there's a lot of those, but it's really good. It's also by the creator of, or it's based on a French show, but it's developed as an American show by, I saw the stuff he created and I'm like, okay, it makes sense why it's this good. Drew Goddard.
I've heard that name.
He wrote episodes, not created. He wrote episodes for Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Angel, and Lost, as well as screenwriting for Cloverfield, World War Z, and The Martian. And he directed Cabin in the Woods.
So it's like
and the creator of the Netflix Daredevil.
There we go. That's where I've seen it before. There's the one
for you.
That's where I've seen it before. I'm like, I knew I've seen it. This name sounds familiar.
Anyway.
Thank you, Drew, for what you've given us.
But anyway, dude, it's so good. It stars Caitlin Olsen, who most people would know from Always Sunny. She was also on The Mick and is currently in Hacks. She's one of those.
She is in Hacks.
It's something that whatever the filming schedule for It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia must be odd because it leaves time for everybody to do other shows at the same time.
Yeah.
Of course, I think the show goes on hiatus like every other. It's only got 16 seasons across the 20 years it's been on. Of course, it took a year break between. Anyway, that being said, she's the main character. She plays this like janitor with a high IQ who ends up being hired as a consultant after bumping into a evidence box and like seeing the evidence and just being like.
And she like write on the window.
Yeah, she writes on the window. She writes on the window what they got wrong, and
they get there in the morning like what?
Her Adam Karadek is the detective that she helps. Like the it's almost like a Castle and Beckett. So if I want to make comparisons, like she's the castle, he's the Beckett.
Yeah.
Played by Daniel Sunyata, I think is how you say his last name. Sunhata. It's a J. After the... Or Sunhata. Sunjata, if I remember the opening credits correctly. Anyway, he does a good job like playing off her. There's a really funny episode where she saves his life by shooting him with a tranquilizer dart. And so they go to like talk to a like a potential witness or something, and she's crying over the death of this person. So Morgan's the name of Caitlin Olsen's character is hugging her, and he's just sitting there, and he's just like, no, we don't hug. And then he stands up and he's like, when was the last time you saw the victim? And she's like, just a couple days ago. And he just stares at her like wide-eyed. Morgan's like, yeah, he's gonna need more than that.
He can't move. I would love that.
Oh, dude.
I would love that.
And the funny thing about me starting the show, though, is a couple days before I started watching Scrubs again, and Judy Reyes is in that. You know, she's Carla. She is the head of the major crimes division in this show. So it was kind of funny that I started those shows at the same time, and she's in both of them. It's pretty good. There's are a couple side characters. You know, it's kind of cookie cutter, these shows. So you have your two duo, you have the boss, and then there's at least two other policemen
like
or
Castle,
team members, like Castle
Esposito?
or Bones, or where it's like the two others. So there are those two others. They don't have a whole lot of character quite yet. The one with the most character is his name is Oz. And he's played by, I can't remember the actor's name, but he was Aladdin on Once Upon a Time.
Okay.
He, like, you start to get his character a little bit, but the other character, Daphne, she's just like, of course, I'm halfway through the season, so maybe she'll have
of its first season. So
of the first season, it got
while it's airing.
Yeah. So anyway, I don't want to get, don't want to give away too much, but that one scene from the episode was just so funny.
Yeah.
Or there's another one where he's on a date, and she crashes the date with her kids, and she's like, "I'm sorry, who's this?" And she's like, I'm his wife. This isn't Pilates class. I'm just messing with you. I'm his work partner. Anyway, it's just it's and then like when she's explaining like her you know, in her head things play out, and a lot of them are like comedy bits.
It's like when Louise and Ant-Man, where it like goes on all these like tangents.
Yeah,
I love that.
Anyway, it's just so good. A lot of funny moments, a lot of really good moments. I was actually up until 2 a.m. last night watching just binging it because even though I had to be up at 7, because I was like, okay, I'm doing notes for tonight, and then I was like, oh, it's midnight. I got to be up in 7 hours. I better go to sleep. And then as I was looking for the remote to turn it off, the next episode played, and I'm like, oh, this is a really interesting one. Yeah, and I kept going.
And the problem with that is it's 44-minute episodes, so you say, yeah, I watched 3 episodes. That's like 2 hours worth.
But
before you know it,
I don't know if I talked about it on here. But what's funny about me finding the show is that I had just been like, man, they don't really have like, as far as I can remember, there's always been at least one weekly murder mystery show. You know, even if it's something like Bones, where it's less police and more like or police procedural, or just murder mystery in general. Like there's just, and then I found High Potential, which is exactly what that is. It's the Castle, Bones, Monk. I'm trying to remember the other ones off the top of my head.
Psych.
Yeah, Psych.
It's the quirky little.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The even though it's called a crime drama, you could almost call it a comedy drama. Yeah. Because of the amount, just of how funny it is. Dude, one of the funniest characters is probably her ex-husband who is hired by the police to watch the kids when she's helping with cases.
What a job, though. What a job.
Oh, he's like, oh, this is the best gig ever. I get paid to watch my kids.
Exactly. Childcare.
But anyway.
I love that. I'd probably enjoy it.
You probably would.
Watching it.
Yeah.
Should I jump in my releases for this week?
Yes, sir.
On Friday, we'll start with movies. On Friday, March 7th, Mickey 17, Bong Joon-ho's new movie, released. A disposable employee is sent on a human expedition to colonize the ice world Niflheim. After one iteration dies, a new body is regenerated with most of his memories intact. I did just see this, literally fresh out of the theater to see this. It was pretty good. Let's give it a solid 7 out of 10. It was kind of slow at times, but enough where I was like, I'm enjoying it. And the creatures in it were hilarious. The creepers.
We do have a rating from Hayden.
Yes.
10 out of 10.
10 out of 10?
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. He loved it.
Did you say that in the chat?
Yeah, he said that in the chat.
Like, I don't know what
just
to say.
Right when you just said that, I looked at my phone. I'm like, oh, 10 out of 10.
And I'm over here, 7 out of 10.
So, yeah.
It's in the, it's good territory for me We're like, I'd recommend it to someone. Absolutely. Mark Ruffalo, he's like the bad guy, the leader in it, and he's hilarious. There's a dinner scene where he and Toni Collette are like husband and wife, and like they go in to kiss, and they go like essentially go, anyway. Like they do full motion, they're like just turn away, and I was dying. That whole scene, I was dying. Robert Pattinson killed it. He's two different. And he's not like the same one. They have each different personalities, which I thought they'd be like the same carbon copy, but two different personalities. Really good, really good. I'd recommend going and seeing it. Rule Breakers came out. In a nation where educating girls is seen as rebellion, a visionary woman dares to teach young minds to dream. When their innovation draws global attention, their success sparks hope and opposition. As threats loom, their courage ignites a movement. Night of the Zoopocalypse. When a meteor unleashes a virus that turns zoo animals into zombies, a mountain lion and a wolf lead a team of survivors to save the day. That sounds like something I'd come up with in high school.
Yeah.
Borderline got a limited release. A helplessly romantic sociopath escapes from a mental institution and invades the home of a 90s pop superstar. He just wants to be loved. She just wants to survive. The Rule of Jenny Penn got a limited release. Recovering from a stroke at an assisted living facility, a judge encounters a psychopathic patient who uses a hand puppet to abuse fellow residents. F, Marry, Kill got a release on VOD and digital. On the streaming side of things, on Monday, March 3rd, Rumors, released on Paramount+. Leaders of the world's wealthiest democracies gather for the annual G7 summit to draft a provisional statement regarding a global crisis. They soon become spectacles of incompetence, contending with increasingly surreal obstacles as night falls in the misty woods and they realize they are suddenly alone. Reagan came to stars on Tuesday, March 4th. And on Friday, March 7th, Heretic, released on Max. Hellboy, the Crooked Man, released on Hulu. Synopsis goes, Hellboy and a rookie BPRD agent find themselves stranded in 1950s rural Appalachia. They soon discover a community of witches led by a local devil who has a connection to Hellboy's past. And Plankton, the movie, released on Netflix. Plankton's tangled love story with his sentient computer wife goes sideways when she takes a stand and decides to destroy the world without him. We did watch this last night.
We did.
I loved it.
Dude, it was great.
I loved it.
It was...
Oh, it was so funny.
Look, I mean...
I added a song to my likes playlist.
Because of it. Yeah, it is a musical. They don't really advertise it as one, but it is a musical.
Yeah.
They actually released the second, the Plankton song.
Yeah.
On YouTube, but they didn't... Probably the two best songs are the Karen song and then the song... I'm
a Jerk.
I'm a Jerk, which is... Would you say Meatloaf style? Is that how you describe it? Like Meatloaf, a Meatloaf style, like rock ballad about how much of a jerk Plankton is.
At a piano, it starts off with like a somber piano tone.
Which my mom was dying at. So my mom never wants to watch, like never says, hey, can I watch this with you? It's usually like if we're picking a movie, I suggest it. She might want to watch it. But no, she messaged me and was like, hey, Plankton looks hilarious. Wait for me.
Because she saw the trailer
Because she watched the trailer on Netflix. And so I was like, okay. So she loved it too. And so for my mom to find a SpongeBob thing funny for one.
Yeah.
Which she likes earlier SpongeBob. It just, his voice would get grating. So obviously, a parent, you're going to want to want everything
because the kids are watching it on loop.
But, so she loved it. It has a early SpongeBob feel to it, and part of that is because a lot of the writing team on it, specifically Doug Lawrence, who voices Plankton, wrote the film. Apparently, it was originally envisioned as a 30-minute special,
and then you told me about that.
They wanted to make movies, and they're like, Plankton, let's just turn that into a movie.
And it's getting good reviews.
Oh yeah, dude.
It's like what, 70, 80 on Rotten Tomatoes?
Probably. I can look now. Let me just look it up now. Plankton Rotten Tomatoes.
Which, if you compare that to their last outing,
Plankton the movie currently stands at a 71%.
So not bad.
Compared to
Sandy?
The Sandy Cheeks movie, which
I'm gonna
let me get that pulled up.
23. What do I think?
22. The tomato meter is 53%. We don't have a tomato meter for Plankton yet.
The audience score?
But the audience score is popcorn. Right.
Oh, the audience. Yeah.
So audience score is 22% compared to the 71% that is.
And Plankton is the 71.
Plankton is 71. We do not have a tomato meter score from Plankton.
Okay.
But yeah, it is.
Which is fair to me.
It's pretty good. Like I said, good. I personally I go back and I was like, man, I gave Garfield a 7. That's probably a 6. I think I gave it a 7. That's probably.
I think it was a 7. We were both hovering.
I
around
think
7
we
and
were
6.
like, it's a 7 on its own as a Garfield movie. It brings it down a few pegs. So really, it's probably about a 5 or a 6.
Yeah.
Plankton is a true 8 for me.
Yeah.
Just for me personally, from like it does have its flaws.
I think 8's what I'd give it.
But it is definitely like a pretty good. If I were to rank the SpongeBob movies, there's been 5, believe it or not. We're getting a 6th one this Christmas.
Are you telling me Sandy Cheeks was 4?
Sandy Cheeks
I thought there was
was
like
4.
3 more.
So there's the first SpongeBob movie, which is the best.
David Hasselhoff.
And then I would give. A lot of people don't like Sponge on the Run. I loved it. That's one with Keanu Reeves.
That's the third one.
That's the third one. I loved it.
I loved it.
I would probably put it at my number 2 favorite movie. Although I
Yeah.
have not watched Sponge Out of Water in a while, but Sponge Out of Water is probably 3, and this is probably ranked 4. It's tied with Sponge Out of Water.
Yeah.
Which is funny because both are about SpongeBob and Plankton.
Yeah.
Specifically, although their dynamics are different compared to the 2 movies.
And Sponge Out of Water is
Sponge Out of
the
Water
second one.
was more SpongeBob trying to teach Plankton how to be a good friend, and now this one he's teaching Plankton, or not teaching Plankton, he's
be a good
trying to
husband.
remind Plankton how to be a good husband.
Which is just wild.
Oh.
You don't think of SpongeBob teaching someone to be a good husband.
Right?
But of course, that's why
But
it's
as long
good.
as the show's been around, they started focusing more on Karen as a character than just Karen as Plankton's sidekick.
Exactly.
So they're like, well, yeah, of course they're married, and Plankton treats her the way he does throughout the show. Of course, that's a perfect plot.
Yeah.
I wish the 3 Karens had more screen time
Because
they were so funny. What's her name? Jill Talley, I think is her name.
Who did?
Who did Karen's
Karen?
voice?
Aside-
She did great
Oh,
because
yeah.
the 3 voices she did when Karen splits into 3, which you can see from the trailer.
Yeah.
You could still tell it was her, but she did a good job.
personalities
making
are,
it
like,
different
way
between the
different.
3.
Yeah. Okay.
So she did particularly good. Her and Doug Lawrence
Plankton, the 2.
did really well for being the starring characters. So they really brought it
Yeah.
for that.
I'm
This is
glad that
pretty
they got a
good.
good one in after what Shannon, which I haven't seen it. You haven't seen it.
I've seen
what I've heard,
bits and
bits of it.
pieces of Sandy Cheeks, and
I've seen the trailer, and that's enough.
dude, Wanda Sykes is the villain in that, and they flash back to her being younger.
she's like herself.
To explain her hatred for kids, and you think the kid warping in his face in Thor 4 was bad? The budget
I know where this is going.
Netflix and Nickelodeon gave them to superimpose Wanda Sykes' head over a little girl's body was
Not
not.
enough.
Yeah. Look,
to
I'm
save
just
some of that money for the
saying,
slime.
people who are like Marvel movies, the CGI is so bad. There is worse out there.
Absolutely.
And the live action bits of Sandy Cheeks is
a lot of it.
is yeah.
A lot of it. And the TV side of things, as we mentioned, Sunday, March 2nd was the 97th Academy Awards on ABC and Hulu. More on that later. Thursday, March 6th, ABC started up their Thursday block again for the mid-season with 911 Season 7B, Dr. Odyssey Season 1B, and Grey's Anatomy Season 21B. And Jellystone has its final episodes dropped on Max on Thursday, March 6th.
Which includes
More on
the final performance
George Lowe.
of George Lowe as Space Ghost before he passed away this week. And then the series finale of the show, Crisis on Infinite Mirths, which is a crossover with Cartoon Network characters. Not animated very well, but still pretty funny. There's something about the short that people are all of a sudden turning on Jellystone, even though Jellystone's great. Don't listen to what people are saying now about the show because we all of a
I haven't
sudden
seen it,
don't
but I
like it
remember
for some
everyone
reason.
loving it when it first came
But like,
out.
despite the animation being limited, it's pretty good. It's the creator of Chowder getting to play with Hanna-Barbera characters.
Yeah.
So like I don't know if anyone knows how like lovely of a mashup that was, especially because the Hanna-Barbera
It's good to
characters,
see.
you wouldn't quite say the Hanna-Barbera characters are themselves. A lot of it because they changed some of the characters around for different reasons. But anyway,
Yeah.
so Jellystone
Final episode.
is a pretty good show. The final episode was decent.
On Friday, March 7th, Power Book 3 Raising Kanan Season 4 premiered on Starz. And Saturday, March 8th, Asia had its premiere in BBC America. You might have heard us mention it, I think, 2 episodes ago. And that is all I got for releases. You got some?
I do have some releases. March 3rd, we got Songs of Life on PC from devs Dreamstep and publisher 2P Games. Famine and war have ravaged the land, leaving it in ruins. Step into the shoes of three legendary physicians, Hua Tao, Zhang Zhongjing, and Dong Feng, and harness surgery, potions, and divine powers to restore order and end the chaos and discover the conspiracy beyond the epidemic. March 4th saw the release of Carmen Sandiego on all major platforms from Gameloft. The Scarlet Super Thief Carmen Sandiego is back, adorn Carmen's signature red hat and play as the vigilante herself for the first time ever to navigate a world of espionage, utilizing high-tech gadgets, and ultimately capturing Vile. I think it's more based on the Netflix show than it is the original.
The Carmen Sandiego.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which, aren't they making another game? Or was this the game that
This was the game that I was talking about. Actually, you know, let me double check, but I'm pretty sure that's the game because I want to say they announced.
I thought they were making like a, not open world, but.
I thought they might have announced 2 games at once.
I didn't mean to throw you off track with that.
Nope, just the one.
So that was the one.
It looks like it's a little more 3D exploration and solving puzzles than it is the original. You've played Carmen Sandiego, right?
Oh, I love Carmen Sandiego.
Yeah. So it's a little more like heist, sneaking around, solving puzzles than it is. So, I mean, there's still like the learning aspect.
Yeah.
In fact, there is a classic mode in the game called Acme Files, which is a tribute to the classic games.
And what was this on?
This was on all major platforms. Also on March 4th was Everhood 2 on PC and Switch from Chris Nordgren and Jordi Roca and publisher Foreign Gnomes, an unconventional ARPG where you battle enemies through musical encounters while being accompanied by a raven who promises to retrieve your voice if you slay the mighty Mind Dragon. I played Everhood 1 a couple years ago. Pretty fun. It's basically, imagine if Undertale was a rhythm game. Or the attacks or the fights were rhythm games.
Okay.
Golden Idol Investigations, The Sins of New Wells DLC for Rise of the Golden Idols, released on PC. Lilac Zero on PC from dev Vector Padaro and publisher Digerati, released. The Machine World of Molly Dian has fallen into disarray. As Nidhogg eats the root of the planet, unending wars rage on the surface. Slice your way through hordes of metallic foes and 5 frantic levels, defeat fearsome bosses, and dodge countless bullets in this vintage vertical shoot-'em-up. Merchants of Rosewall on PC from devs Blue Sky Games. As a new merchant in the bustling city of Rosewall, you'll manage your own shop, craft artisan goods, hire companions, and evil unravel a mystery in the city. Immerse yourself in a fantasy world where conflict is a thing of the past, and this visual novel meets Shopkeeper Simulator. As well as 2 Point Museum on PC, Xbox, and PlayStation from 2 Point Studios and publisher Sega. Curate and manage incredible museums, explore to discover amazing artifacts, design and refine the layout, keep staff happy, guests entertained, donations plentiful, and children off the exhibits.
I feel like I'd love that.
Xbox and PlayStation, so you might love it. It's a part of the 2 Point series. I think the 2 Point games before that were Hospital and Campus.
Oh, I think Haley told me about this.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure she has told us about them.
I remember her saying something about like Hospital on Campus.
But yeah, 2 Point Museum is now out. On March 6th, we got Despero Drops on Switch from D3 Publisher and publisher Axis Games. On the run, Mika Amamine visits Rome to celebrate the end of exams, only for her trip to turn upside down when she witnesses a murder and is arrested as a suspect. During transport, the police van overturns in an accident, freeing her and 6 other criminals, becoming fugitives. Mysterious attackers appear, targeting her unique ability, and begin to pursue the group. Will the team unravel the clues and reclaim their normal lives? As well as Do No Harm on PC from Darts Games and publisher Hawthorne Games. Lovecraftian Doctor Simulator, diagnose patients by analyzing unsettling symptoms and treat them using your book of medicine. Make moral choices, decide who to save or kill, discover who to trust, and unlock multiple endings. Can you endure 30 days of perilous decisions? As well as Dragonkin the Banished entered early access on PC from devs Echo Software and publisher Nacon. The draconic threat is once again upon us. Legendary heroes rise up to face legions from the depths. Tame your dragonettes, create unique power builds from the ancestral grid, expand your city, and destroy the dragons. 3 Ever 17 games released this week on Switch, PC, and PlayStation. I just bundled the 3 together because they released all on the same day, and I think so I don't know. A combo. I don't know if they're meant to be a combo, but I have a lot of releases, and I was like, if I can be lazy on one, let it be this one.
Yeah.
Fragpunk on PC from Bad Guitar Studio. Fragpunk is a thrilling 5v5 shooter where shard cards allow you to break the rules in combat and ensure that no 2 rounds are ever the same. Get ready to unleash your skill, as well as Head Over Heels Deluxe Edition on PC from Rusty Pixels and Ogre Games and publisher Spec Next. Join Head and Heels, pun intended, to defeat the Emperor in this award-winning vintage gem remake that plays and looks better than ever before. Sorry We're Closed came to consoles, and Split Fiction, released on PS5, PC, and Xbox from Hazelight Studios and publisher EA. Embrace mind-blowing moments as you're piled deep into many worlds of Split Fiction, a boundary-pushing co-op adventure. Mio and Zoe are contrasting writers. One writes sci-fi and the other writes fantasy, who become trapped in their own stories after being hooked up to a machine designed to steal their creative ideas. They'll have to rely on each other to break free with their memories intact, working together to master a variety of abilities and overcome diverse challenges while jumping between sci-fi and fantasy worlds in this unexpected tale of friendship. So I wonder
if we're going to like this.
We loved the trailer from day one. I texted Jay when it was announced. I think it was during the Game Awards. It was announced and released this soon.
You're like, you're going to love it.
I was like, Jay, we're playing this.
And honestly, I forgot to watch the trailer. And I had been staying away from the plot until you just said that. I didn't know what the story was.
You didn't know what the story was about until now?
I knew you jumped through like fantasy and sci-fi worlds, and it was co-op, and that's all I knew about it. And you said that, and now I'm infinitely more. I was already excited.
Dude, I'm
infinitely more excited.
Spoiler alert, we are already changing up our Let's Play schedule, which we've stuck to so well so far.
Exactly.
So we're going to do, and I'll make a social media post the next day that we post a Let's Play, for to be official. But we were originally doing Mario RPG, a one-off game, Mario RPG, one-off game. We were going to alternate.
Repeat.
But now we're doing Mario RPG, Split Fiction, Mario RPG, one-off.
Because I bought it today.
Because Jay bought it today for us to play. We were going to play it Monday, so hopefully soon we will have episodes of that ready to release as Let's Plays. We are super excited for this. I was trying to play It Takes Two from the same devs today, but I could not get
circumstances.
I could not get remotes to work with each other.
Yeah, the dude who I bought this at Walmart, he's like, he was looking at it and he goes, "Oh, it's the same creators as It Takes Two. That must be really good." I'm like, "Yeah, it's getting really good.
It's getting better reviews than It Takes Two."
Yeah,
and It Takes Two is fantastic.
Yeah.
I played like the first couple levels with Jacob,
but I think I saw it might have been either the creator or the developer. Or those are the same people.
Yes.
So I think him or someone else was like, I feel like our chances for Game of the Year are good. Unless GTA 6 comes out this year, and then it's going to be tough.
Yeah, and GTA 6 might still... Like, there were some rumblings that it's still aiming for later this year.
Yeah. And that's also just, like, way early predictions because Marvel 1943.
Yeah, Marvel 1943, which we'll get to later.
Yeah.
I say we'll get to later. A lot of these, when we say we'll get to later, it's like brief mentions.
Yeah.
But anyway, there's that. Anything that's going to come out with the Switch 2 this year is going to... But anyway, so Split Fiction looks great. Look forward to us playing that, getting our blind reaction because we're not playing through anything until we sit down and press record. So that's going to be pretty fun. Dude,
excited.
I just
I'm like giddy with excitement.
how well timed that the plot is about authors being hooked to a machine that wants to steal their ideas.
Yep. Yep. Hear that?
Psychoden 1 and 2 HD remaster on all major platforms from Konami. A Hero's Destiny is written in the stars. Legendary Konami JRPG Psychoden 1 and Psychoden 2 have now been remastered in HD. And finally, the Sims 4 Business Hobbies expansion pack released. I don't have a description for that, but I know some people out there who are very excited for that. So just so you know, it's out.
It's there.
And those are my releases for this week. Yeah.
My first miscellaneous?
And get into your first miscellaneous.
I don't have a lot. It was a relatively slow week for me, really, as compared to previous weeks. And posters, that we got posters for Materialist, The Accountant 2, Hurry Up Tomorrow, and Andor, A Star Wars Story Season 2, which I think was really cool because it had like Andor's face on it, but in the back you could see like the outline of like the Death Star lines throughout it. Really cool. And trailers, we got the final trailer for The Electric State releasing next week on Netflix, The Woman in the Yard releasing March 28th in theaters, Alien Earth releasing summer 2025 on FX on Hulu, as well as The Bear Season 4 releasing around the same time. Mobland, releasing March 30th on Paramount Plus. The Bondsman, April 3rd on Amazon Prime Video. Bullet Train Explosion, April 23rd on Netflix. Bambi the Reckoning, releasing summer 2025 in theaters. Everybody's Live with John Mulaney, premiering March 12th on Netflix. Andor, A Star Wars Story, Season 2 for the second episode in a row, premiering April 22nd on Disney+. The Studio, premiering on March 26th on Apple TV+. And The Last of Us Season 2, premiering on April 13th on HBO. In terms of release dates, Happy Gilmore 2 got a release date of July 25th on Netflix. Jaws will be re-released in theaters on August 29th to celebrate their 50th anniversary. The Peaky Blinders movie will be getting a theatrical release, and then Zach Cregger's Resident Evil movie got a release date of September 18th, 2026. In castings, for those of you who watch Invincible, I haven't read it. I haven't seen past like most of season 1. The Invincible War happened this week, and so they posted a thing where like Steven Yeun has been cast as Cape Vincible, Sport Vincible, Prison Vincible, No Gogglesable, and like a whole slew of others I'm not going to mention because the names get outrageous and long.
I think it was a one-issue story in the comics. I don't know if there's going to be one issue in the show where all Mark teams up with all like this multiverse variants of himself, making fun of Marvel and DC's like multiverse stories and how it's like a big event. Like it was making fun of that. And then here Amazon is making a big deal.
They have the Invincible and the Boys making fun of superhero.
Yeah, while also doing the same thing at the same time.
Exactly. I saw all those things and I'm like, the Odyssey for the 7th episode in a row. It's time to ponder. Will the Odyssey break the Penguins or Deadpool streak?
Maybe.
We're on episode 7.
If he still keeps saying stuff about it. Of course, Deadpool's streak was
21, 22. But the Penguin was like 16.
Yeah.
So you got to get to that first. Cosmo Jarvis has been cast. Dexter Resurrection for the 3rd episode in a row. Neil Patrick Harris has been cast. Scream 7. David Arquette will return as Dewey, which all but confirms they're having, in my mind, it's like the Black Panther sequence where like when he becomes Black Panther, he's dead. I'm like, they're going to see all like the people.
He's going to put on Ghostface mask.
So whoever is,
and then it's just.
It's going to be Nev Campbell.
Yeah.
Is going to see all of them. Godzilla X Kong A New Empire sequel has cast Matthew Modine, and Catherine Newton has been cast in Ready or Not Season 2. For Greta Gerwig's Narnia, for the 2nd episode in a row, Charlie XCX is being eyed to star as Jadis, the White Witch. Whale Fall, which I did not know this thing existed. Austin Abrams has been cast as the lead. And the synopsis goes, Brian Duffield's new movie is described as The Martian meets 127 hours and follows a scuba diver in search of his father's remains who gets swallowed by a sperm whale and has only 1 hour to escape. I will be there on day 1. My animal nerd sees stuff like that, and I'm like, it's not the stomach acid I'm worried about. It's if the whale decides to dive.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And he's going to implode.
Yeah.
Damien Chazelle's Evel Knievel biopic for the 2nd episode in a row. Adrian Brody is in early talks to star alongside Leonardo DiCaprio. We got some new castings for the Harry Potter TV series for the 2nd episode in a row. Janet McTeer is in talks to star as Professor Minerva McGonagall. And Papa Esidu has been officially cast as Severus Snape. You know, a couple months ago, we reported that he was being eyed to star or in talks. That is now official. For the Thomas Crown Affair, Taylor Russell will star alongside Michael B. Jordan, who will also direct, and Ray Fisher will reunite with Ben Affleck in Animals. And that is all my first batch of miscellaneous.
My miscellaneous news. Donkey Kong 94. It's officially called Donkey Kong, but when it was under development, and for the sake of like making differences between the games. Donkey Kong 94 and Mario Picross were added to Game Boy NSO on March 6th. Donkey Kong 94, the funny thing is, for the first 4 levels, it is just the Donkey Kong arcade game.
Yeah. Like the OG?
The OG. And then the rest of the game is a precursor to the Mario vs. Donkey Kong games.
Ooh.
When it was still platformers and not the little puzzles with the robot guys.
Yeah.
So it's cool that that's on there because then we have the remake of its sequel, Mario vs. Donkey Kong, that came out last year. So now you can play both.
It's like a little connector.
Yeah. Nintendo's been really good at doing that with the Nintendo Switch Online, where all the Donkey Kong Country games are available on Switch, and all the Pikmin games, and I believe most, if not all, of the 2D Metroid games are on. Like, so they try to do stuff like that.
Yeah,
I'm hoping they start to do that with more series. You know, where they let us get all the games. all but three of the 2D Mario games are on there. You know, it's
so
like
you have almost the entire catalog.
Yeah, and the Switch.
The more you get, the more you get.
The Switch 2 has a big shoes to fill. That's all I'm saying. Which is good that it's backwards compatible because we cannot start over again.
Yeah.
For a fifth time, because every time a new console came out, they would be like, okay, we're going to slowly re-release these games. So anyway, Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3 and 4 was announced for all major platforms from Iron Galaxy Studios. That's what the countdown from last week was about, was this announcement, which I mentioned it was probably that.
Yeah.
I didn't see a new Tony Hawk Pro Skater game coming out before they did this.
Yeah.
Because 1 and 2 did so well. It releases July 11th, except for the Collector's Edition, which releases July 8th. Player versus Environment extraction shooter Sand enters early access on PC April 3rd. Esoteric Ebb was revealed, a CRPG inspired by tabletop adventures coming to PC. Simulation horror game Order 13 releases March 10th. From Go developers Dotemu, Guard Crush Games, and Supermonk comes RPG beat 'em up Absalom, coming to PC, Switch, and PlayStation in 2025. Chibig revealed upcoming adventure game Elusive. Kickstarter is available now. Super Punch-Out inspired 2D fighter Baki Hanma Blood Arena was announced based on the franchise of the same name. Releases on all major platforms at a later date. Bitcraft Online releases early access May 29th. Psychological thriller Cthulhu: The Cosmic Abyss was announced from Big Bad Wolf. Follows a detective investigating the disappearance of miners in caves under the Pacific Ocean, releasing in 2026. I both hate and love that.
Yeah.
I've said it before, I love Eldritch horror stuff. That is like, I don't do horror very well, but like Lovecraftian stories is just, maybe because so many point-and-click adventure games
are based on it, and like include it.
You know, mystery books and stuff that I've read are that. And then Mystery Incorporated, the Scooby-Doo Mystery Incorporated was an eldritch horror for like a lot of episodes. So like,
but in the deep
yeah,
water,
it's just so. It's just the getting into the deep water where I don't have a fear of water. So I have that to look forward to. I don't think I have it on here, but Sinking City 2 was also, I don't know if it was announced recently, but its Kickstarter launched recently and already broke its goal, like within the first 10 hours. Red Sport is coming to Xbox and PlayStation in 2025. RoboCop Rogue City will be receiving an expansion in the Unfinished Business expansion in summer 2025. 4-player co-op first-person horror game Mound: Omen of Cthulhu was announced, releasing in 2025 on PC, PS5, and Xbox. I also love that we're just getting all these eldritch horror games. Dredge. Yeah. Dredge is great. It's a boat fishing game that also has like a Lovecraftian story in the background. I love it. Paranormal investigator Alan Rebels investigates his father's disappearance on Godstone Island in first-person horror game The Occultist, releasing on PC, PS5, and Xbox in 2026. Cyanide Studio announced Styx, Blades of Greed, releasing on PC, PS5, and Xbox this fall. It is a stealth game where you play as a goblin and you're just looking for food or something.
On there.
This is the third game in a series, apparently. Crap. So we'll see if there's more for Jay to play. Marvel 1943, Rise of Hydra, seems to be eyeing a Christmas 2025 release.
Yes.
Neil Druckmann says that Last of Us Part 3 is not likely to happen. New Invincible skins will be coming to Fortnite. A new Super Mario Bros. Wonder Nintendo Switch OLED bundle was launched in time for Mario Day. PlayStation has announced a new beta program to allow PS5 owners to beta test upcoming PlayStation games. All players need to do is register online. An unknown amount of workers has been laid off at PlayStation Visual Arts Studio, and a hardware update was randomly sent out for PlayStation 3s on March 5th for improved system performance and renewal of Blu-ray encryption keys, which would allow future use of its disc reader. And I only have one anniversary I did. I got kind of lazy, and then I think I will bring back anniversaries when Jay brings back birthdays, just for the sake of,
should be next week.
Just for the sake
of it. Tune into that.
But I do have one that I'll include here with my miscellaneous. This week on March 3rd was the 8th anniversary of the Nintendo Switch and The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild.
Which is that's 8 years old.
Right? 8 years. That's almost 10. There's something about it being 7 years old where I'm like, okay, 7, but 8 is something where it suddenly kicks in.
Because 7 is like the last half where you can still round down to 5.
because I was telling someone,
And then 8, you go like, oh,
I had a video project that I probably was never going to release for copyright reasons. I was working on just to send everybody. I don't know if I'll ever finish it, but I was like reminiscing one day, and it's like, you know, I had the N64 and the GameCube, both, because I was born in just enough time where both were kind of like enough people had one or the other because it was either the old or new console.
Yeah.
So a lot of that, I'm just a Nintendo baby, so I had those, and so by the time I was in middle school. I mean elementary school because the Wii came out in 2006. But by the time I was in middle school, I had the Wii and the 3DS to kind of get me through. And I DS too, and Game Boy and stuff, but like console-wise. And then by the time I was in high school, the Wii U came out. And then my senior year, the Switch comes out. And that thing has seen me through last of high school, all of college, obviously it saw all of us through COVID, but like the past 8 years compared to what the rest of the consoles, the 3DS specifically, because of like 2000, when I was 10 or 11, you know how big of like a point in my life that is. So the 3DS is definitely still a big, like I would say the biggest things for me, like Nintendo wise, is 3DS and Switch. Yeah. Like GameCube and Wii and all that, of course. But like the Switch alone, the past 8 years has probably been like the biggest, like, I mean, obviously, it's when you're finally an adult, and you're, but like, still, like, it's just crazy. I sound like a madman because I'm just trying to get my sentimental.
Well, it's like you don't realize how long it's been. Like when I was 7 one day and the kid asked me how old it was, or when I graduated, I was like, 2019. I'm like, not the same thing.
And I did not get a Switch day one, for multiple reasons. One, you know how hard it was to get one, and two, I had to wait a couple months. I got my first job to specifically buy a Switch, and so I bought my Switch with my first like 3 or 4 paychecks, and I had to buy it in a bundle. So I got that Mario Kart and a game called No More Heroes, which I have never beaten because the game is so hard. I would almost say it's bad. It's a bad game. I still play it every once in a while.
You're like, maybe this will be the time. 5 minutes later.
But yeah, I will never forget turning on Breath of the Wild for the first time. I will never forget putting it in the dock and just the instant, like, man, this is just why I can play the new Zelda game at, on the bus or, on speech and debate trips. And, I mean, the amount of times we played Mario Kart on speech and debate trips was just... Jackbox alone.
Yeah. That was 90% of our
hangouts. 90% of our hangouts was playing Jackbox on my Switch.
After. Yeah.
Like, it was just, I don't know, man. It's just 8 years is wild. And the fact that we're just now getting the Switch 2. It's not even, like, the Switch is going into its 9th year, and it's going to be a good chunk into its 9th year before its successor comes around. Like, that's just crazy. It shows you how successful it was that Nintendo probably at one point had plans for, like, even like a pro version, like how PlayStation does it. But because of COVID, they were stopped and was like, but we're still good enough that we don't have to. And they just moved on to making the successor instead of... Switch 2. Anyway. So, yeah, happy birthday, Switch. And 8 awesome years. Don't know what I would do without that console.
For my miscellaneous this week, I don't have a lot. In new looks, we got our first look at a xenomorph from Alien Earth, new stills from Andor Star Wars Stories Season 2, Ash, new images of the crew, new looks at Abby, Joel, Dina, and Ellie in The Last of Us Season 2, and they did say spores will be included in the story this season. The first 5 minutes were released on Mickey 17 a couple days before its release. The first clip from the next episode of Suits LA was released starring Brian Baumgartner as himself, saying he wants to kill Kevin Malone. At the time of this airing, it would have aired the night before. Invincible Season 3, new look at the Invincible variants. In the Lost Lands, we got our exclusive clip and new concept art from Avatar, Fire, and Ash. No first looks this week, but in box office earnings and records, I do have one. Ninja 2, on its 4th episode in a row, has crossed $2 billion worldwide. The first animated film to do so, and also the first non-Hollywood movie to do so, and is currently sitting at number 7 highest grossing of all time. Just get this, $4 million below Avengers Infinity War, and about 24 below whatever the 5th spot is. After that, it jumps up to like 200 million.
Oh, wow.
So it has a very good chance of becoming the number 5 highest grossing movie of all time. And new announcements this week. A short form special based on The Princess and the Frog is in the works at Disney. I'll have more news on that. Steve Carell, Jason Schwartzman, Rami Youssef, and Corey Michael Smith will star in Succession creator Jesse Armstrong's first ever movie, following a group of billionaire friends who get together against the backdrop of an international crisis. The live-action Monopoly movie is moving forward with John Francis Daley and Jonathan Goldstein writing the script and Margot Robbie producing. Is Margot Robbie the Nick Fury of producing
live-action
toy games?
movies based on toys? Dude, is it like, I know it's probably going to end up being some kind of like story about Uncle Moneybags or something.
Yeah.
But I almost want it to be like
Jumanji.
Frosted. Dude, Monopoly Jumanji, that's just the current state of the United States.
That's Minecraft. You're right. What was the thing you said?
I almost wanted to be like Unfrosted or
where it's just very clearly fake.
Where it's very clearly fake, or Tetris, where
it's an action.
It's the origin of Monopoly as a board game.
Yeah.
But also, I'm like, how much can you make fun of that before you're like, oh, maybe I shouldn't make fun of that.
Yeah.
So who knows what the story be? Because I'm like,
there's gonna be a line where he goes, "It's time to take a chance."
Look, when was the last time a board game got turned into a movie? I don't count D&D. Not a board game. It's a tabletop game.
Battleship?
I said, was it Battleship? Because we know how that movie went. It just reminds these movies reminds me of when SNL is like,
making their movie trailers,
making their movie trailers, and it's like Uno the movie.
Exactly.
It's like where it's like, which look, we're gonna get Uno the movie at some point. Remember the whole Uno the anime meme, like
yes,
So it's gonna, but hey, it's the closest to originality that we're getting. Mm-hmm. So yep. I'm also can't.
You got to come up with an original thing.
Honestly, on it too much.
I can maybe see it being an action thing just because of like driving away from the cops. And it's a heist movie. Steal money from the bank. Dude, let's write this.
What if it's about a guy named Mark B. Thimble who
and his dog
and his car and his dog who gets away in a car and he robs like one of Uncle Moneybags. Is it Uncle Moneybags?
I forget.
Mr. Moneybags, anyway, robs one of his banks or something,
which is right next to a dry cleaning store, and that's how he gets the iron.
Exactly.
There's
got to be
that was
stupid. And then at some point, like he's finally put in front of Mr. Uncle Moneybags, and he's like, I expected a monocle. I never had a what?
Exactly.
Hey, Margot Robbie, hire us.
Exactly.
I say as if she's like the deciding factor in who writes the movie.
Hey, you never know who could. She could be listening. It could be like Ghostbusters with Dan Aykroyd.
Dude, if we
it ain't good till episode 42.
If we met a celebrity who is like, oh my gosh, Mondays are for the nerds, I'd be like, what's
what are you
wrong
wasting
with
your time on? Do you have no projects to do? Amanda Seyfried says Mamma Mia 3 will be happening, saying, quote, it's going to happen in Greece, hopefully before 2038. A Quiet Place 3 was revealed to be in the works today, saying they do want to finish out the trilogy. And a live-action and / animated hybrid Oswald the Lucky Rabbit series in the works at Disney+, with Jon Favreau writing and producing the series. And my miscellaneous mentionables, as previously mentioned, alluded to at least, Walt Disney Animation will no longer develop any original long-form content for Disney+. The Tiana animated series was scrapped at Disney+ and will never be released. That was announced like a couple minutes before they were like, oh, but that special is going to be coming out.
That's a shame. Disney+, it's just weird to me for Disney to decide not to make any more animated series for Disney+, when they are mostly abandoning Disney Channel in a lot of regions.
We say this is Walt Disney Animation. This is not including like Pixar. And
yeah, this is including Pixar, but
Marvel,
like, wouldn't you think
like
Animation Studio would include also Walt Disney animated television?
Yeah.
So like,
yeah.
I mean, that just could be me inferring. It could be that they're just wanting to put more of their manpower into movies.
Yeah.
And that the animation television is still going to be for like Disney Plus could still make something, because wasn't a Darkwing Duck show in development for Disney Plus?
Because that was like a backdoor pilot of the DuckTales episodes, wasn't it?
Yes and no. I've heard it's changed directions multiple times.
Okay.
Well, it's been in the. I think it was announced before Disney Plus. So however that long that's been.
Yeah.
So 5 years now, wasn't it? 2020.
I think so. It was 2019.
2019, so
November
6 years
2019.
now. 6 years now we've been waiting on that Darkwing Duck show. So maybe they're just like, hey, look, all these shows we've been wanting to make, like only half of them are ever getting done. So.
Yeah. I wonder that's why they put Phineas and Ferb on like they did with Wizards Beyond Waverly Place. Was like it's going to premiere on Disney Channel.
Yeah, because originally I think the new season was a Disney Plus original.
Yeah.
So now it's going to be on Disney Channel
Looking,
and Disney
looking
Plus.
back, yeah. Looking back, you're like, well, maybe that was early signs that they're going to do this.
But I'm just scared that, as many places that they've shut down Disney Channel or made Disney or like cut their ties with certain cable packages and stuff, cable companies, where they're going to be like, man, no one's watching our shows. Let's just cancel them.
Access.
So
Think about that. On a lighter note, not at all. The Gorman Massacre will be shown in Andor Star Wars Story Season 2. Do you know what that is? Yep. The head of the Piglin Army in a Minecraft movie is named General Chungus. There's our pivot.
Dude,
I told you when I saw it. I was going to say it.
This movie. I don't know how. I don't. This is going to be the best, worst thing. This is going to be the best, worst thing ever. This is going to be Masters of Disguise level of I recognize that this is a very bad movie, and not even in a Brothers way.
Yeah.
Brothers is still, I think, like
an enjoyable
you
movie.
can say, you can make the argument that it's a good movie.
Yeah.
Whereas Masters of Disguise, where it's like, yes, you can argue that anything's good.
Yeah.
You're going to have a harder time arguing that Master of Disguise is a good movie.
The notoriously bad movie, but is such a cult classic.
But I don't care. It's one of the best movies ever made.
Exactly.
I feel like this is going to be that level of this is the best thing I have ever seen. It's so bad. I love it.
Yeah. Why was I thinking tonight while watching Mickey 17 that when they called the thing a creeper, I was like, is this going to be the best creeper movie we're going to get this year? Justin Lin is set to direct Berserker, starring Keanu Reeves. The story, also created by Reeves, will follow a violent half-mortal and half-god who has wandered the world for centuries, and Avatar Fire and Ash. Remember, I told you I had a comment. James Cameron says it will be a bit longer than Avatar The Way of Water, which was 3 hours and 12 minutes. Okay, James.
Bring back intermissions to theaters.
James, I don't care about you anymore. We'll just leave it at that.
Should I include that?
Yes.
Should I include you saying that?
We have it on record that I am not a James Cameron fan.
Yeah, that's true.
I think we can keep it in here. And that is all my miscellaneous. I do have, and for the Oscars in lieu of birthdays, pending anything surprise happens, should return next week. But the Oscars were this week. Of course, as we mentioned before, the multiple winners, Anora took home the most awards, including Best Film Editing, Best Original Screenplay, Best Director for Sean Baker, Best Actress for Maggie Madison, and Best Picture. Emilia Perez took home Best Supporting Actress for Zoe Saldana and Best Original Song for El Mal. Wicked took home Best Production Design and Best Costume Design, both very well deserved. Dune Part 2 took home Best Sound and Best Visual Effects. And The Brutalist took home Best Cinematography, Best Original Score, and Best Actor for Adrian Brody. For single winners, Best Animated Short Film went to In the Shadow of the Cypress. Best Documentary Short went to The Only Girl in the Orchestra. Best Documentary Feature was No Other Land. Best Live Action Short was I Am Not a Robot. Best Supporting Actor went to Kieran Culkin for Real Pain, as he's swept this whole awards season with that category. Best Adapted Screenplay went to Conclave. Best Animated Feature went to Flow, which I was content with, as I've said on here before. Best Makeup and Hairstyling went to The Substance, and Best International Feature Film went to I'm Still Here. Couple fun facts. Mikey Madison is the first Ghostface to become an Oscar winner, which is kind of surprising, but kind of not at the same time. A Complete Unknown and Nickel Boys were the only Best Picture nominees to not win any awards at the Oscars. This is the second year in a row that an international film won Best Animated Feature, and the third year in a row that the winner was not made by Disney. Anora and Parasite are the only two movies in the last 70 years to win both the Palme d'Or at Cannes and Best Picture at the Oscars. Both were distributed by Neon. Adrian Brody had the longest acceptance speech in Oscars history at 5 minutes and 40 seconds, which was previously held by Greer Garson at a mere 10 seconds shorter. And the whole ceremony received 19.7 million viewers, the highest viewership figure for the show in 5 years, and it outperformed social interactions for the Grammys and Super Bowl for the first time on record. And that is all of my miscellaneous announcements and news, apart from comics. You got anime?
Yes, I do have some anime.
Anime! Do you have any comics?
No.
I knew better than ask that question.
I didn't see any significant comic stuff. Demon Slayer Kimetsu no Yaiba Infinity Castle releases on September 12th in theaters. Kaiju Sekai Saifuku premieres April 5th. Moonrise, announced as an original anime for Netflix in 2022, has set a premiere date of April 10th, 2025, in the not too distant future. Humanity has established a loosely organized world government with everything managed by an internal AI network called Sapientia. People live peaceful lives by loyally obeying its rational decisions. However, Sapientia's lunar development project, which sends criminals and pollutants to the moon to maintain Earth's peace, creates disparity and poverty on the moon, sparking a catalyst for war. Jacob Jack Shadow gets caught up in this conflict after losing his family to a terrorist bombing by the moon's rebel army. Vowing revenge, Jack joins the Earth army as a scout on the moon, only to discover an unexpected leader among the resistance forces. I bet it's his brother or something. An anime adaptation of Tojima Wants to Be a Kamen Rider has been announced. Teogonia premieres April 11th. Aheron-san wa Hakarenai Season 2 premieres on April 7th. Our Last Crusade, or The Rise of a New World, Season 2 premieres April 10th. Miru, Paths to My Future premieres April 2nd. In the distant future, humans create a robot named Miru capable of traveling through time, visiting various areas, places, and even parallel worlds. Unlike some robots, Miru isn't equipped with weapons. Instead, it'll help some people overcome immense obstacles peacefully, encouraging new beginnings without violence. Miru continuously evolves by interacting with people, learning and growing to assist those struggling to survive. It listens to their problems and offers support. By helping others, Miru sets off a butterfly effect of dramatic change, guiding society towards a brighter future. Why is Miru created? What is its purpose? Can it save the Earth and humanity from a dystopian future? One Punch Man Season 3 premieres this October. Grand Blue Dreaming Season 2 premieres July 7th. The Catcher in the Ballpark premieres April 1st. Rock is a Lady's Modesty premieres April 3rd. The story of A Rock is a Lady's Modesty follows Lalisa Suzunomiya, a young girl who is forced to give up after playing guitar when she's thrust into a rich lifestyle after her mother remarries a real estate tycoon. However, when she meets a skilled drummer at her new prestigious school, her passion for rock reignites, and the pair form a band. Shoshimen, How to Become Ordinary, Season 2 premieres April 5th. The Tale of the Secret Saint anime adaptation has been announced. Born in a long line of knights, Fia is determined to become a knight herself, just like her siblings. But a brush with death awakens memories of her past life as a saint, a woman who wields rare, powerful healing and protection magic, along with the ability to use that magic herself. The downside is that Fia also remembers her past life's untimely death, and the danger she will be in if anyone finds out what she really is. She vows to stay on her knighthood path and keep her powers a secret forever, but how can she resist using her newfound powers when they're just so useful? Two Perfect Saints, Tossed Aside by My Fiancé and Sold to Another Kingdom, premieres April 9th. Gorilla no Kami premieres April 6th. The story is set in a world where 16-year-olds receive blessings from various animal gods. Sophia, a timid daughter of a noble, received the blessing of the gorilla god, giving her the ability to live over 500 kilograms. Although all she wants is a peaceful life, people seek her out due to her immense power, leading her to become scouted by royal knights. Onmyo, Kite and Rebirth premieres this July. Kaopen Chan Shorts premieres April 6th. Frieren Beyond Journey's End Season 2 premieres January 2026. Kowloon Generic Romance premieres April 5th. Windbreaker Season 2 premieres April 3rd. The Beginning After the End premieres April 2nd. Everyday Host Club premieres April 4th. Black Butler Emerald Witch Arc premieres April 5th. The Monster Wants to Eat Me premieres this October. The Unaware Atelier premieres this April 6th. Can Friendship Between Men and Women Exist? No, it doesn't premieres April 4th. Young
I thought you were launching into a synopsis.
Nope, that's just another. It's also a synopsis. I did. We've talked about that show before.
Yeah.
Only I think it was when I struggled through its Japanese name, we finally got the English translation. Young Ladies Don't Play Fighting Games premieres April 2025. Kuromi Girls Academy is a refined, elegant school that expects the very best in deportment from its young ladies. Aya got into this peerless rich girls institution on a scholarship and hopes to grow as lovely as her fellow student idol, Shirayui. But Shirayui hides a terrible secret. She's a trash-talking, combo-chaining, newbie-stomping, ruthless, hardcore gamer. Could a mutual indulgence and no-holds-barred video game combat grow into a deeper rapport between these two girls? The Dinner Table Detective premieres April 4th. Bowling anime titled Turkey will premiere this July.
Nice.
A Black Torch anime adaptation was announced today from Viz Media. A new era of ninja battles begins. Hailing from a long line of ninja, Jiro has been brought up by his grandfather in the ancient warrior art of the shinobi. Jiro also happens to be a particularly skilled communicator, able to converse with the animal world. But life takes an abrupt turn thanks to a mysterious encounter in the forest with an injured black cat, Rego. Only Rego's feline's appearance is deceiving. It turns out the ordinary cat is the stuff of Mononoke legend, the Black Star of Doom. Swarming in the shadows are more Mononoke, eager to exploit Rego's uniquely immense powers. To fight back against the tide of dark spirits, the undercover Bureau of Espionage is poised to seek and destroy. Of course, everyone has their motives when it comes to Rego's powers, but Jiro and Rego are ready. Shinobi clash between Boy and Mononoke is about to ignite. And finally, and I'm so glad that we did manage to get to schedule to record on our normal day instead of earlier like we thought.
Yeah.
But after 18 years, the One Piece English dub is now caught up with the Japanese version of the anime.
Nice.
Which means that they should now be able to go back and dub the movies they've never been able to dub. They've only been able to dub movies that came out since they started dubbing the English.
Yeah. I have a couple of comics, not a lot. In DC, to make up for what the last episode was, I only have one thing, and it's something specific. Alan Richardson says, quote, "You wouldn't even have to pay me to play Batman in the DCU."
I think he'd be good.
He'd be really good. I mean, the physicality of what it looked like from Creature Commandos, that Matt Reacher, yeah. That's all my DC news for this week.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if I saw anything because, like, comics wise, like, you know, new issues are always coming out and stuff.
Yeah.
But, like,
I mean, Robert Pattinson said something about the story of Batman 2, but it's basically like a repeat of what he said last week.
And being like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I think I know what it's about.
Yeah. Stuff like that. In Marvel, though, Captain America Brave New World for the 12th episode in a row. We got our first official image of the leader. Thunderbolts, we got a new look. They said it was inspired by Toy Story 3, saying, quote, "The characters of Thunderbolts, like those in Toy Story 3, are facing obsolescence. Obsolescence? Can they get out of the trash can together?" The more I hear about this, the more excited I am for Thunderbolts, just because it feels like it's just going to be crazy. I don't know what's going to happen. The Avengers Tower is now called Val's Watchtower because she owns it. There was a new teaser release which featured a new look at Florence Pugh and Sebastian Stan. And Marvel showcased their talent behind the film, saying with little shots, have you seen this? "From the stars of Midsommar, A Different Man, and You Hurt My Feelings, the editor of Minari, the composer of Everything Everywhere All at Once, the writers and director of Beef, and the cinematographer of The Green Knight." All those, and I'm like, this is what I said a couple weeks ago where Marvel's like, from directors you don't know with characters you don't know. This is going to be the movie. It's going to be awesome. Avengers Doomsday, the Russo brothers have a plan to shut down leaks and set photos, saying, quote, "The location work we're doing, we have picked those locations with leaks in mind." Vin Diesel says that he is developing a Groot movie, saying, quote, "Disney wants their Planet X, which some say is Marvel's most anticipated movie, haha, the film where Groot returns to his home planet." And the Russo brothers give an estimate on what the run times may be for Avengers Doomsday and Avengers Secret Wars, with Avengers Doomsday being 2.5 hours and Avengers Secret Wars being 3. And the biggest piece of Marvel news this week, Daredevil Born Again for the 4th episode in a row got our 2-episode series premiere on March 4th. As I told you, and like Jimmy and everyone, I spent a week watching the first 3 seasons. And I watched like 9 or like 12 or 13 in 2 days. And I was like, to be prepared for this. Daredevil is probably in my top 3 favorite characters. And you know how much I love the show.
Yeah. We need to get you some Daredevil comics.
I
you
know.
would love them.
Honestly, it might be my favorite. But Chris Pratt. I was preparing for the 2-episode premiere. Of course, it's basically Daredevil season 4.
Yeah.
But could also stand on its own. I was crying within the first 10 minutes, as you probably saw online. I loved it. I love Kingpin, and I love Charlie Cox in this, and the tone is there. The tone is still there. Mm-hmm. I think, which is why I think they did the creative overhaul, what led to that, because I heard what it was going to be, and I'm like, it'd be fun to see, but
It was probably going to be more along the lines of what
they said it was
going to
be.
doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think I heard someone say, I don't know if this is true or not, but he wasn't even going to suit up until like episode 4 or 5.
Oh, wow. Yeah. No.
Out of 18, granted, but still. I'm so happy with. If anything, I feel like it's a lot. I don't want to say a lot darker than the Netflix one, but there's stuff in this where I'm like, whew. And there's that whole scene where Vincent D'Onofrio is like, I can't believe they greenlit this. I don't know if that's happened yet. They haven't said it. Oh, I'm so excited for us to be back in Hell's Kitchen with Charlie Cox and Vincent D'Onofrio. I'm so excited. And the Mayor Fist storyline, it's in the trailers. Mm-hmm. That's not spoiling anything. I could just gush on this show. I could gush. And we still got 7 weeks left. 6, because there's doing an episode 5 and 6 are coming out in the same week.
And it's new episodes every Wednesday?
Tuesday
night.
It's like every Tuesday night at 8, you'll know Jay's not going to be reachable for at least an hour.
Yeah, every Tuesday night at 8. Yeah, I'm not. Yeah.
Yeah, Jay's not going to be reachable. And after an hour, I'll text you in all caps.
Especially because I messaged you something that night. Oh, it was. Never mind.
I'm so excited to see how this goes. I want, of course, Muse is the villain, and I'm so excited. You can't do that without getting TVMA.
Yeah.
Because he is a serial killer who, for those of you who don't know, Muse is this is the villain for this season. And he's a serial killer who makes art out of his victims' bodies and bloods right now.
I was thinking that the other day watching the trailer because I haven't watched it yet.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, I was telling you, I have something to tell you about my personal history with Daredevil. I have watched half of the first season, mm-hmm. and I've been meaning to go back and finish it. I've just never gotten around to it.
That's not bad.
That's not bad.
I thought you were gonna say like I hate Daredevil.
No, I just went and wait until now. It'd be like, yeah, I really want, like, I liked it.
Yeah.
I especially love the crime drama mm-hmm. about it.
Yeah.
You know, the detectiveness of
mm-hmm.
it. I love that. But I don't know. I think I started watching. If you want to know how far back this has been,
when it was on Netflix,
I started watching Falcon and the Winter Soldier instead. I was watching.
Oh, so it was like
I was
2021.
watching that because I was because I was waiting for Falcon Winter Soldier to come out, and the Falcon Winter Soldier came out, and I watched that, and I never went back and finished the rest of it.
That's fair.
So yeah.
A final trailer was released before it premiered, which featured a new look at Bullseye and Punisher. The opening credits were released that same night. Eldon Henson and Deborah Ann Woll will both return as Foggy and Karen in season 2. We also got a new poster and a new look at Muse. That is all of my news this week. In terms of celebrity deaths, we don't got a lot. Last week, as we were recording, we found out that they announced that David Johansen, he was 75, died. He was in Scrooged and Let It Ride. And then this week, Joey Molland was 77, guitarist and last surviving member of rock group Badfinger. Carl Dean, he was 82, Dolly Parton's longtime husband of nearly 60 years. Pamela Bach was 62, actress and David Hasselhoff's ex-wife. And George Lowe was 67, as we previously mentioned. Voice actor and comedian behind Space Ghost, Coast to Coast, and Cartoon Planet. And I think he's a lot of
Adult Swim, just those early days of Adult Swim when it was things like Space Ghost, Coast to Coast, and C Lab 2020, where it was just George Lowe was just there for a lot of that, even if he wasn't in it, he was just there
and hands-on involved.
And so.
My sources this week were Hollywood Reporter, Deadline, Movie Insider, IGN, Jimmy Kimmel Live, Collider, Variety, Entertainment Tonight, Entertainment Weekly, LA Times, Empire, Hero Magazine, Technicart, The Playlist, CBR, and of course, as always, Discussing Film.
I want to thank my sources for this week: IGN, Discussing Film, Crunchyroll, Game Rant, at Emily J. Fajardo or Fajardo. The J's always mix me up.
I forgot.
Anyway, she's the voice director for the English dub of One Piece, mm-hmm. and the official sites and socials of the projects mentioned today. And now we're on to part 2 of our Muppets recreating video games tier list.
Yes.
Having a lot of fun with this one too.
Yes. This week we're going to start with Far Cry.
Far Cry.
Which I feel like that's in the same vein as Assassin's Creed. Where not this like Disney movie wise, but like it's kind of like a rotating cast.
Definitely.
But there's side characters in there, but you just throw the Muppets in there anywhere. I feel like I wouldn't enjoy it as much as I would enjoy Assassin's Creed with Muppets. So I'm thinking like high or low B.
Low B
or high C.
And if you wonder why we don't get as specific with the castings as the other ones, is we did happen to pick games where it's kind of hard to pick specific.
More of like
casts.
an anthology.
Yeah. And we also accidentally picked some games we don't know as well as we thought we did.
So we had to retroactively go back and add these in.
So Far Cry, we're not going to be very specific, but these next few definitely going to be specific.
Yeah. I'm going to put this in C.
C?
Because I don't think it's going to be as strong as like Crash Bandicoot or Chrono Trigger. Next up is Final Fantasy VII.
Yes.
I believe.
So, Jay, how much about the Final Fantasy VII do you know?
Spoiler alert.
How much of Final Fantasy VII do you know?
Not a lot.
Not a lot? Okay, so I'm just going to give you the rundown of the story.
Mm-hmm. Is that the one with like the animals or not ecos?
It's the eco. So a group of eco-terrorists hire a mercenary who is a former soldier for the Shinra Corporation, which is a electric company that has basically taken over the world because of their ability to use Mako energy, which is like magic energy from the earth itself, to power everything. And they're like, it's this renewable, it's the earth, we're pulling from the earth. And well, it's actually a lot more detrimental to the earth than they would like everyone to believe. And these eco-terrorists, known as specifically a black sheep branch of it, known as Avalanche, hires this mercenary named Cloud because of his connection to one of their members, Tifa, their childhood friends, and also love interests. Cloud has like 4 love interests. There are really only 2 love interests. Anyway, Tifa, so her, Cloud, and the leader, Barrett, go through and blow up some reactors. And in the process, Cloud crosses paths with a girl named Aerith, who happens to be the last of a group of people that precedes humanity. And obviously Shinra is always after her for some mysterious reasons. On top of that, Cloud, who has like this odd amnesia about a lot of things, keeps crossing paths and hallucinating the Sephiroth, which was a fellow soldier who had gone mad and killed a bunch of people and turned on. And he thought he was dead, but he's been popping up for some reason. Yeah. And that's kind of the plot goes from there. We always want to keep one human. I don't know if it should be Sephiroth
because of the villain,
or Cloud because of
iconicity.
Just making keeping the main character.
Yeah.
But if we
I'm going to leave this up because I don't.
If we keep Sephiroth, I would almost say make Cloud. But the thing is, I could make a Muppet Sephiroth. It would be hard to pick Cloud because Cloud is it would be funny for it to be Cloud because he's already not about anyone else's antics. He doesn't want to be part of it. All the other members of Avalanche want to be his friend so bad, and he's just like, I don't care about any of you. And then later something happens to a bunch of the members, and he is like, no, you got to stick through this, man. Yeah, you owe me, like one of the girls. He's like, you owe me a pizza. Don't die on me. And so it's like,
I'd definitely keep that.
He's definitely he cares, but he doesn't care, Yeah. So that would mean I think
could be Sephiroth.
Sephiroth. I don't know.
We do have Constantine. Just kidding.
No, Constantine is one of the Shinra people.
Yeah.
We don't have to get specific and go every single character, just like the basic main characters.
Yeah. I feel like Miss Piggy can be the girl.
Tifa. Yeah.
What was the other one?
Aerith. She's very sweet. She is like, you almost maybe want to keep her and Cloud. And then just have Miss Piggy be Tifa, which is funny because Tifa's the one he actually ends up with.
Makes sense because Miss Piggy.
But Aerith, spoiler for a 30-year-old game, Aerith dies a third of the way into the game.
Shutting my laptop and getting out.
And I almost didn't want to spoil that for you because it's a game I want you to play for the channel, but it's also a PlayStation 1 game.
Yeah.
Aerith dies, and it is super emotional, and it's honestly it's just a really sad moment.
Yeah.
Especially playing the remake and the modern voice acting and storytelling that they do with it. The remake is almost like a semi-sequel. Like you almost want to play the original on the PlayStation and then play the remake.
Yeah.
But that's just me talking about games and not what we're ranking. Barrett is
which one? What is he again?
Barrett is the leader of the eco-terrorist group.
Mm-hmm.
He is
nonsense.
He has an adoptive daughter that is the only person he's remotely sweet to. Everyone else, he's like yelling at them. He's very loud and like, everybody, I have to tell you about what they're doing with the Mako energy. It's bad, and this is why. And he's just like, and
I have an idea.
And but then like Cloud will do like. The first time his daughter sees Cloud, she gets scared, and he's immediately like, punch, that's what you get for scaring my daughter. So like that's Barrett.
Sam
Eagle.
Yes. But I don't know who his
Sam
daughter
with
would
a
be.
gun for an arm sounds hilarious.
Exactly. See?
But Barrett is also, as far as the remake goes, one of the funniest characters. In the original, he's a good character. He's kind of a jerk, but the remake definitely makes him like almost like a comic relief in a few spots.
See, I was gonna say Gonzo with Rizzo being the daughter, only it's his best friend instead of daughter. But I don't think Gonzo would be able to like the anger.
The anger part,
I can hear it more. You know what I mean? I can hear it more coming out of or animal.
More animal. No, not animal.
No. Sam is like leadery.
So Sam,
to me.
I could just be like, we must stop Shinra Corporation, for it's the Avalanche
It's
way. So
I'm thinking at least A tier.
at least A tier, just because the Muppets remaking this honestly has a lot of serious. It's probably one of the more serious Final Fantasy things, but it still has enough goofy moments. There's a scene where Cloud has to cross-dress to infiltrate a mob boss's. So the original, it's optional. In the remake, it's mandatory because for the story reason of the mandatory is both Tifa and Aerith are infiltrating, and he gets so worried about their safety that he cross-dresses so he's with them, and then the mob boss ends up picking him to be his new wife.
Of course.
And anyway, so there's funny moments like that. And that's just some of the characters. There's a lot more characters that join you
that we can round out
that you could round out the rest of the Muppets, but like. Yeah.
Those are like the central. Where should we put this, you think?
I say
A.
Put it like just somewhere in the middle.
In the middle? Above or below Assassin's Creed? I think above.
Above? Okay.
But it's above Banjo-Kazooie.
No, because Banjo-Kazooie is just too perfect.
Fair.
Not like S tier perfect,
cartoonic.
but like, yeah.
Yeah. Well, all these are S tier.
Oh, absolutely.
All these are S tier. Five Nights at Freddy's.
Five Nights at Freddy's. So this is almost one where we can't recreate the story. This is just making Five Nights at Freddy's with Muppets.
Yes. The Muppets are animatronics.
So let's see. So obviously Kermit's got to be Freddy Fazbear,
Absolutely.
right? Or is it Fozzie Bear Freddy Fazbear?
That works too.
So Fozzie's
Fazbear.
so like the way they act in the original game is Freddy only like every time you hear him laugh, he changes to another camera. So imagine you're sitting in the office and you just hear waka waka, and you check the camera and he's changed into another room. I would say maybe Miss Piggy.
That's Chica?
No, Miss Piggy is the Foxy, because if you don't keep the camera on Foxy long enough, he runs for you.
You're right. Absolutely.
And then Gonzo and Kermit would be Bonnie and Chica, which are the ones that just randomly move around.
Fair. Fair.
And so, yeah.
And then the later on, the more games you get.
The more games you get, the more Muppets there are.
That's like your 4. And that is the core 4 Muppets,
The little guy that steals your batteries is...
Animal. Animal's just Animal.
No, Animal's the one that crawls through the vents.
That's right.
It's almost like we're just making the game over again. So do we want to put this in like B or C?
I'm thinking... I would say B.
B?
It's kind of like the John Wick thing where it's like if you turn a horror into Muppets, then it's going to be hilari's and an absolute blast.
But it's not too story focused of a horror for it to be funny.
Yeah.
So
it's going to be like Scary Muppets.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, should we go? I'm thinking B.
B? Okay.
Do you think it should be high or low B? Or middle B?
I say high B.
High B?
Maybe it's our highest B.
Above Chrono Trigger right now?
Yeah.
The highest of B's.
Next couple are all you.
Ghost of... Oh, yeah.
Are these our last two? I'm trying to think. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay.
Horizon. Ghost of Tsushima. Remember what I said about John Wick. Imagine Kermit as Jin Sakai with a katana just slicing.
You're
through
keeping
people.
Jen and all the
I know,
and everything
you're
else
keeping
is
Jen.
Muppets.
You're
Yeah.
keeping Jen.
I was watching my cousin play this the other day.
This game is so good.
I know I should play it.
It's beautiful.
But dude, it would be so funny. Just from this is almost like which this isn't on the tier list, but like if you made Hitman and you just made all the victims Muppets, where it's like there's just something funny about
just Muppet
this.
Carnage is hilarious.
Yeah.
Like we said, in John Wick, instead of blood, there's fluff.
I was thinking the other day about our John Wick thing, and imagine the when he's falling, and it's just and
at the end of 3?
At the end of 3, when he's falling,
just ragdoll.
boom, 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 and it's just they replace it with a John Wick Muppet instead of a stuntman.
It's very clearly like a ragdoll mannequin. The arm just wraps around the balcony and then wraps back up as he's falling.
And he gets back up and he's just like, anyway.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think Kermit would be the uncle.
Okay.
In this, just because I imagine him being like, I need guidance. What should I do? Should I kill? And he's like, Kermit's like, no, that's not the samurai way. I can't do a good Kermit voice.
Killing them is not the samurai way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Without justice. I'm thinking. I want to say A because the game is so good, but would that take away from it though?
I don't know. I haven't played
John
the
Wick
story
is too
enough.
perfect. The story is so good, but like I feel like it would take away from the emotion a little bit.
Okay.
I want to say low A.
Low A. Alrighty.
Low A. God of War, specifically 2018.
Okay, specifically the remake.
The Ragnarok is we'll lead into it, but like and it's too much characters to work with. You got of course, you got Kratos, which I think you keep Kratos.
Yeah, you keep Kratos. Do you replace Boy?
Atreus.
I know he has a name, but I just want to call him Boy. Do we replace Boy with someone else?
I was thinking Walter.
Walter. I was thinking the same thing.
Kratos and Walter.
What if we replace What if it's still Kratos, but it's just mocapped by Jason Segel?
Absolutely, that's perfect.
So instead,
is it Jason Segel with Christopher Judge's voice?
it just goes back and he's like, and the beginning when the tutorial is life's a little song when there's someone by your side to sing along.
Oh, I'm getting lightheaded.
Oh, the head I've got. Does he have the head in the first one, or is that just okay?
Yeah. And the two troll brothers, dwarf brothers.
And
one of them has to be Fozzie. Is Fozzie the bear? The head.
Is Fozzie the head?
He's the one that's cracking jokes all the time.
Yeah.
Of course, Miss Piggy is gonna be.
Or do you make Statler? Or it's 2 heads. Where Statler Walter's got one on each hip.
Oh, it's absolutely 2 heads. You're right. It's gonna be 2 heads. He goes to like the tree scene, and he goes, and then you hear one from the back. He's like, "What?" Turns around, and there's one facing this way, one facing that way. I've been looking out the ocean for years.
It'd be more interesting than the rest of this game. No.
And it's such a fantastic game, but they don't care. That's perfect. Miss Piggy is gonna be the woman, the witch, not the witch.
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah. Hold on. In Ragnarok, for Atreus' mom, are you gonna Freya?
Amy Adams. Yeah.
Fun fact: she's actually mocapped by Deborah Ann Wool, who's in Daredevil. Yeah, and then the Thor's the villain of it is Thor's half brother.
Loki.
No,
I'm kidding.
I was gonna say, yeah, you know. I can't think of his name, but we can keep him.
Yeah, keep
him.
Yeah.
And of course we'll fill out the rest. The 2 dwarf brothers who make stuff. Could that be? Because they also have kind of like animosity towards each other a little bit. Gonzo and Rizzo. I feel like Gonzo is one of them for sure.
Gonzo and Rizzo, yeah.
Where's Kermit come in and play?
Kermit? I don't know.
He might come in the second one.
And I also feel like we do neglect to mention the hilarity of having Beaker and Benson Honeydew as some of the characters.
Oh, dude, hold on. The Beaker and Benson could be the dwarfs.
To be the dwarves that make stuff.
Oh, that's so good. That's so good.
Beaker accidentally getting his hand forged into stuff. And,
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, Beaker and Bunsen.
So where do we rank this? We've laughed hard enough. I feel like
S-tier.
it's at S tier. Yeah.
S tier. I feel like it's above Batman. It's 100%
Absolutely above Batman.
Oh, God of War.
If not like tied with, but we'll put it above.
Exactly.
Next we have Grim Fandango.
Grim Fandango, yes.
So this is a noir game. I don't know if mystery is the exact word. There's some mystery to it, but it's a lot more of like the rest of the noir part of like, the corrupt and the snippy characters.
Yeah.
The main character, he is, and it's all happens in the underworld. Like Day of the Dead inspired skeletons make most of these characters.
Yeah.
Manny Rivera.
The skeleton Muppets would be hilarious.
Manny Calavera is the main character, voiced by the dad from Ugly Betty.
Okay.
And then I cannot remember. It is one of my favorite games of all time. I'm blanking on a lot of the characters' names, so I'm going to Google it real quick, just so I don't embarrass myself. But yeah, there's Manny Calavera he was a travel agent for the Department of Death in El Mero, forced into his job to work off debt to the powers that be. So if people die with too much debt or like unfinished business, they have to work that off in the underworld before they can take a train straight to the afterlife. So this is almost.
I would love this game, honestly.
And he's always assigned clients that must take the 4-year journey due to poor living choices instead of the just instant choice, which would get him more money to be able to pay off.
Yeah.
Especially because his boss, Don Capal, threatens to fire him, even though he's kind of the scapegoat. He steals a client named Mercedes Colomar, who is voiced by the mom from Wizards of Beverly Place. I'm forgetting a lot of the actors' names. From his coworker Domino, and they notice this and fire Manny because Manny's computer was rigged to only give 4-year. So he gave basically a humanitarian the worst possible choice of the afterlife. So he spends 4 years hunting her down to rectify it, and in the meantime takes down a shady business from a mob boss. So the way you die in the afterlife is being shot with a dart that causes flowers to grow out of your skeleton, and you're reincarnated. They call it being sprouted.
Yeah.
There's just really cool things with it. So I'm trying to think of I was explaining all that to try to think of the characters. So there's Manny, there's Meche, Domino, Dawn, and then there's the speed demon / best friend's character Glottis, who rigs a coffin car to drive for him and becomes his best friend and travels with him the 4 years. Who's kind of like a comic relief character, very like. I don't know how to describe his personality. I feel like if you were to replace all the 3 main characters to be Fozzie, Kermit, and Miss Piggy. Kermit and Miss Piggy would be Manny and Meche, and Fozzie would be the Speed Demon.
That's what I was thinking.
Only because you'd think Animal Glottis talks too much.
Yeah, to be then just
Maybe you'd keep the main villain, and everyone else would just be other Muppets. There's a lot. It's a point and click adventure, so there's a lot of characters to talk to.
Yeah,
but dude, it's such a good game.
I feel like I would love it. I was looking at like the poster when I was making this tier list, and I was like,
and specifically play the remastered version because there are tank controls in the original. That was the only way to play, and now there's like when it was updated, you can play it with a controller fully and move around, or you can point and click. And anyway, so it's just a really good noir story, and it's one of the best. It's the creator of Tim Schafer's the director. He's the creator of Psychonauts. He directed Day of the Tentacle, Brutal Legend, Broken Age, Full Throttle. Like it is.
Yeah.
He was an assistant designer on Monkey Island. Like it's Tim Schafer.
Which, spoiler alert.
So anyway, all that being said, just like this underworld replaced with like a Muppets world, but they're still dead.
Yeah.
You know,
like I said, if you have the skeletons of Muppets, like it's still Muppets, but you can clearly see their skeleton, I feel like that'd be hilarious.
Yeah.
Because that's what it is, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
And
I feel like that'd be hilarious. You can still have their personalities, but it's like them as skeletons.
And so there's just this kind of like there's a romance between what we would say like Kermit and Miss Piggy's characters.
Yeah.
And, I maybe keep the mob, like I said, keep the mob boss that you end up taking down. There's also the boss's secretary who Manny's like, "You're my secretary," and she's like, "No, I'm not." And she's like always like filing her nails.
Yeah.
And, anyway, you know, like there's characters like that where it just the bit Muppets.
Yeah.
You would just be so funny.
It'd be dying.
So maybe this one is.
I'm thinking A.
You're thinking A?
A? What are you thinking?
I was thinking B around
B.
Around like low B, high C, only because of how much the story would allow for Muppets.
Fair.
To do their Muppets thing.
Yeah.
But I feel like if you rewrote the story a little bit like they do with any other Muppet remake, it would bring it up a bit. So maybe put it in low B next to Crash Bandicoot.
Before or after?
After.
After?
Yeah.
And our last one for this episode, I believe. Yes. Our last one for this episode, Horizon Zero Dawn. I have played the first one. I have not played the second one. I don't really care for the first one. But I have played it because I threw it on here. I'm like, I need to get games that I've played on here to complete my half of the list.
Yeah.
That being, I thought it was boring, Horizon Zero Dawn a little bit. I like the machine animals of it because I love animals. That being said, Muppets would make it hilarious.
Replacing all the Muppets, all the characters with Muppets. Would you keep any of the characters?
I'd keep Aloy, obviously, because she's Aloy.
And then everyone else is a Muppet?
Everyone else is a Muppet. I think the machines are still going to be machines, or they could be original.
Muppetized versions of the machines.
But I think it would be hilarious, and actually, to me at least, more enjoyable than what I did. You know what I mean?
So if you were ranked a game, you would probably give it like a C?
If I were going to put it in here, it was fine. I'd put it in like the C.
So if
I'm thinking low B.
Low B since it makes it better? Okay.
Yeah. I'm not going to put it above Grim Fandango because I feel like that'd be better than a Muppets Horizon Zero Dawn. And that is all we have for this episode. To recap, God of War quickly rose to the S spot, top of the tier list. That's going to be hard to beat. It's like the John Wick.
Dude, imagine going through the loading things and then Statler and Waldorf. I think what we've learned is with video games, it's just better if Statler and Waldorf are able to narrate through the whole thing.
Exactly.
React to your... We've gotten a lot of Muppet games, but never anywhere where Statler and Waldorf comment on the gameplay.
Exactly.
But like,
and there's multiple times in the game where he's like, "Turn me around, I can't see."
Like you play a little bit, and you finally go through a loading thing. It's like, gee, how many of these cracks are there in walls around this place?
If they get meta when he gets like the spear that can disappear and reappear, it's like, oh, it disappeared and came back just like the Muppets.
It disappeared and came back just like how much we
appear. Anyway, joined by Batman Arkham Asylum and Epic Mickey and S tier. A tier, Banjo-Kazooie, was joined by Final Fantasy 7, Assassin's Creed, Danganronpa, and Ghost of Tsushima. In the B tier, Five Nights at Freddy's, Chrono Trigger, Crash Bandicoot, Grim Fandango, and Horizon Zero Dawn. And in C tier, sitting lonely, is the Far Cry franchise. No D tier yet. Do you think of these coming up, we might get a D tier or no?
Probably.
Maybe.
Maybe.
And that is all for our episode this week. Like I said, I feel like it's going to be a little bit shorter.
Oh, yeah. This is going to be... Maybe,
at least compared to last week.
We're a little over 2 hours.
Okay.
Unedited.
Yeah.
But yeah.
There's some pauses in there. But yeah. Thank you for joining us.
Be sure
this week.
Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, do all those interactive things. Follow us on social medias. Most social medias at Mondays for Nerds. Follow me, Tristan Stump, on most social medias at Sir Stumps a Lot or Sir Stumps a Lot 17.
Follow me on most at PoThePanda001 or on Instagram at Chris M Pratt Fan.
And on that note, we will see you all next time.
Goodbye.
Bye.